Now, I actually have a laptop here that I've been absolutely gushing over since I got it here for review. It's the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14, a redesign here for 2024. We got a new, understated, absolutely premium design, an all-metal design, a new look here for 2024, a stunning OLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, 0.2 millisecond response time. It is simply spectacular. I can't wait to show it to you in this video. It also has a lot of high-end features, but one of the things that blew me away, and I couldn't believe it, finally, we get speakers that might even rival that of a MacBook Pro. Yes, they're that good. We're gonna get into it today as to why I think the ROG Zephyrus G14, all new for 2024, might be the 14-inch laptop you need, not just gaming laptop, but laptop you need. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14, brand new for 2024, coming up.
Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Asus. I'm not being sponsored by Asus. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Asus is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from Asus, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, pricing is not cheap. This comes in at $1599.99. That nets you the 3K 120 Hz OLED display, the AMD Ryzen 9 8945HS CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, the GeForce RTX 4060 GPU, 1 terabyte of storage, and again, $1,600 certainly is a step up on pricing from last year, but you are getting a much more premium, a much better built design and laptop here for 2024. There is no doubt about it. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, you can pick this up over at Best Buy. For those interested, links will be in the description below. And that pricing is in line with other 14-inch gaming laptops here for 2024. Take the HP Omen Transcend 14, for instance. That comes in actually $100 more. It's $1,700 over at Best Buy. Link for that will also be in the description below. And I will be comparing these two because I think they are direct competitors here in 2024. You know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. Okay, let's see what power charger they give us here. Looks like you get your power cord, typical stuff here so far. And you get a, let's see here, 180 watt power charger. You can see it there. It's got a little heft to it. We'll get a measurement of the weight. You can feel it here. Now, it looks like I got the white one here. All right, so nice little heft to it. Of course, you could feel it. But this is the redesign, of course, for 2024 over the 2023 model. Let's see what else we get here. Looks like we get some documentation, warranty information, congratulations on the purchase, some instruction guide here, and another booklet here. So pretty standard fare in terms of documentation, yada, yada, yada. Oh my God, this is really gorgeous. This is an all-metal design, a redesign, a sleeker look, a little bit more understated in some ways. Just looking at it, maybe with this bar here, you would say it's a gaming laptop, but overall, I think the aesthetics look incredible, and I love this white on this. It says Republic of Gamers, established 2006, some Asus branding or ROG branding there. And on the bottom, there's got some venting here, of course, and looking pretty good so far. All right, let's see if we can open this with one finger. We can. I mean, I'm just loving this design. Feels pretty nice. Doesn't look like there's any very much screen wobble. A little bit. You can see it here, but nothing too bad, although it is a little bit. Let's give a listen to the keyboard. Okay, let's get a measurement of the weight with the unit alone. You're looking at 1.473 kilograms, and that is 3 pounds, 4.0 ounces. And with the power cord and the power charger, 2.01 kilograms, and that is 4 pounds, 6.9 ounces. Remember, this is the larger 180 watt charger. I think they also ship, depending, I guess, on your region, with a smaller 100 watt USB Type-C charger.
Now, this is a very premium, high-end design, and I think this is a major improvement over last year's model. All metal premium design, and I think they wanted to go with a stepped up look here, and I think they succeeded. There's a little bit of flex in the chassis, but nothing to write home about in terms of any worries or anything. I think the overall build quality is quite solid. And then when you open this up, I wouldn't say there's a lot of screen flex here, maybe minimal. And then, of course, hardly any in the keyboard deck. So I think the overall build quality is rock solid. Now here's the G14 and here's the Omen. You can see more flex or more give in this chassis than on this one. You see a little bit on this one. You see a lot more on this one. Not terrible, but again, I would expect this to be a little bit more high-end from HP. This is really, really rock solid here.
Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is a proprietary DC in port. That's where we're going to plug in. That included 180 watt power adapter. Next to that is an HDMI 2.1 FRL port, followed by a USB Type-C 4.0 port that is full function. Next to that is a USB Type-A port. Gotta love those legacy ports, right? And finally, a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side is a micro SD card reader, a USB Type-A port, and a USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port to round out the ports on this unit. And I would say all in all, a pretty good port selection here, although I do prefer a full-size SD card reader over a micro SD card reader, but I take a micro SD card reader over nothing, that's for sure. That's just my thoughts on it. Now, one thing to note is regarding power charging on this, the included 180 watt power charger has that proprietary connection, as I mentioned, but I've seen other reviews where there are two power chargers in the box, a 100 watt USB Type-C charger as well, which this supports, which I love, and that bigger 180 watt proprietary port charger. That's the one I have here today. So I like the options that Asus gives us here with this laptop. Okay, let's talk about the internals. One thing you'll notice when you get inside this laptop, there are 3 fans here, not 2, so you get 3 for cooling. We'll talk more about the thermal performance later on in this review. You also notice that 73 watt-hour battery. We'll get into the battery life later on as well. Now, the RAM, unfortunately, like most laptops here in 2024, is soldered into the motherboard, not upgradable by the user. Now, I've seen a 16 gigabyte model, which is what we have here, and we also have a 32 gigabyte model option that I saw as well. So, pretty good in that regard. Now, as far as the SSD, a 1 terabyte SSD in my review unit, and that, of course, has excellent reads and writes, certainly fast enough for what you need to do with this gaming laptop. Now, it does have Wi-Fi 6E Bluetooth combo card here. It is slotted in, not soldered in, so that's good. Now, I would prefer to see Wi-Fi 7 here. We don't have Wi-Fi 7 here, but having it slotted in means you have the option later on to swap it out. So say if you want to get Wi-Fi 7 later, you can.
Typing on this G14 is actually pretty nice. I actually like this keyboard quite a bit. The tactility is good, the key travel is good, the overall feedback is decent. I would say a very comfortable keyboard, and it's very satisfying. I think it's a pretty satisfying keyboard overall. Yeah, I like it a lot. Now, as far as the characters on it, a little bit cartoony for this high-end design. I kind of wish they refined it a little bit. It does look a little bit comical, or like you would find in the comics a little bit. That's the font they used, whatever. But overall, feels really good for long-term typing and stuff like that.
Now, it does have a glass precision touchpad that I thought was very responsive when it comes to scrolling, doing all the gestures. Everything was very well tuned here, very responsive. So I can't complain there as far as the pointing device here on this unit. Now, to me, the star of the show has to be this gorgeous 14-inch 3K display with a resolution of 2880 by 1800. It also has a refresh rate up to 120 hertz. It also is an HDR Dolby Vision display, so watching high dynamic range content on this has been excellent. Now, when it comes to this display, it is a non-touch display. It is a glossy display, although not overly glossy, but you will notice some glare and reflection depending on your lighting conditions. Now, as far as the coverage of the color gamut, it's excellent. silent. It's got really good color accuracy. So if you're going to do content creation on this, that means if you do Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, and DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Pro, this is going to be a great display to do those tasks on. And with the RTX 4060 and above on this, certainly capable in terms of video editing on this laptop. In addition to being a great gaming laptop, this is a great productivity laptop doing Microsoft Office, email, web browsing. That's what's surprisingly good with this understated design as well. So you won't stand out in a meeting and you will be able to get work done. But of course, it is a great gaming laptop with that 0.2 millisecond response time and that very high refresh rate of 120 hertz on this OLED panel. Now, when it comes to screen brightness, Asus claims that this will get as bright as 400 nits. I actually measured above that. I measured 425 nits, which is even better. So it's certainly good enough to do indoor use. There's no doubt about it. And depending on your lighting conditions, you could probably use it outdoors, although you may have some issues with glare and reflection in direct sunlight. Just be aware of that. And this also supports G-Sync. So for those gamers out there that needs that G-Sync support, this will not disappoint. So this is the camera on the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 here for 2024, all new redesign here, and a very impressive outing indeed. This is a full HD camera, 1080p, IR, so that means you can log in with face recognition, Windows Hello. There is no fingerprint scanner, so for those wondering. And what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the mics? Now, this is a laptop that has AI effects, of course. We have the studio effects here. It has auto framing, so this is supposed to keep me in frame. Yep, there it goes. As I try to move off frame, it centers me. So it's working reasonably well here. And then you get eye contact, and then you get background blur. This is the standard blur, and this is the portrait blur. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. And you may have noticed a little whirling noise in that recording, and I would say that that's probably due to that third fan on this. It's got a little high-pitched noise. It gets a little bit annoying. I noticed it throughout my testing of this unit, so that's something you need to be aware of, and I think other reviewers have also heard that same noise, so just be aware of that when checking out this laptop. And when you compare this in terms of performance with its chief competitor here right now, which is the HP Omen Transcend 14, among others, you're looking at about 11.2% better performance single core on this unit than on the HP Omen Transcend. And then as far as multi-core, about 8% or so less performance than the HP Transcend 14, which is running that Meteor Lake processor. Now, when we look at Cinebench 2024, we're looking at 17% better performance GPU-wise, and that's because 90 watts is given here to the 4060 as opposed to the 65 watts on the 4060 found on the Omen Transcend 14. I would say the single and multi-core performance are a wash here. Now, we'll get to the gaming numbers here in a moment, but if you're looking to do things like video editing in DaVinci Resolve, the Puget Bench is a good benchmark here to run a DaVinci Resolve project here, and it did with the overall score about 25.8% better than the HP Omen Transcend 14. It did about 45% better on the 4K media score. It did about 9.5% better on the GPU effects score, and then it did about 23.6% better on the Fusion score. All told, this is a very good video editing laptop. So if you want to do things like video editing with effects and all the transitions and everything like that, it will handle it very well. Now, when it comes to the 3D Mark score, here again, we're seeing the 90 watts on that 4060 outpacing the GeForce RTX 4060 with the 65 watts on the Omen Transcend 14 here in the Time Spy and Firestrike scores. And here's how it stacks up to others in this category. And of course, this being a gaming laptop, we want to be able to play some of the more popular titles, and we certainly can, as indicated by these numbers here. When you play some of the games, just play around with the settings. You may want to tweak it here and there, but the RTX 4060 here with the 90 watts of power certainly is capable. I think a little bit more capable than others in this category. So for instance, the HP Omen Transcend 14 with 65 watt TGP is not going to be quite as good, and we'll talk about that in a separate review on that, which I have on the way. This, of course, is certainly a very capable gaming laptop. Of course, you could also do other things, as I mentioned, such as video editing, productivity work in Microsoft Office, and the like. Now, for those wondering, yes, there is a mux switch, and I'm happy to report that that worked well. Switching between the discrete graphics and the integrated solution here certainly worked as intended. And this is something that this has that the HP Omen Transcend 14 doesn't have. That one does not have a mux switch, which was a bit disappointing. We'll talk about that in the upcoming review on that laptop, but good to see a mux switch here, that's for sure. Now, in the Armory Crate app is where you can control the different profiles. You have the silent mode, the performance mode, the turbo mode, and the manual mode. Now, I kept it on the performance mode because I didn't see a big difference in performance when I put into turbo mode, and it just ramped up the fans really loud. So I think I would just stay away from the turbo mode altogether. And the turbo mode was disabled when not plugged in, just on battery power, not an option. Now, when you're going to talk about thermals here, I got good news here on the TimeSpy stress test. It got a passing score of 99.2%, meaning it detected pretty much no thermal throttling when put under heavy load, and that's a good thing. Now, as far as the surface temperatures are concerned under load, it never got overly hot where you place your fingers on the keyboard, so that is good, relatively comfortable there, although it did get a little bit hot above the keyboard below the display where the heat dissipates. That's to be normal there. Also by the function keys, getting around 55 degrees Celsius, so you're not going to really use your fingers there all that much, but it did get quite warm there. Now, on the underside, there are a few hot spots here and there, but remained relatively cool for the most part under load, and that's been pretty good. Now, when it comes to fan noise, it just depends which mode you're in. In the performance or turbo mode, it'll get as loud as 57, 58 decibels, which is pretty noticeable. But when you're in the balance mode doing everyday tasks like Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, it really wasn't much of an issue, not too much of a distraction. Now, as far as battery life is concerned, for a gaming laptop, I got decent results here. Not great, not stellar, but decent. 6 hours and 23 minutes on the Modern Office test, which is a little bit better than the 6 hours and 12 minutes I got on the Omen Transcend 14. As far as video playback, I got 6 hours and 32 minutes. Again, pretty similar to what I saw on the Omen Transcend 14. And when it comes to gaming, you're looking at about an hour at most. And of course, that's very similar to the Omen Transcend 14. So the theme here is decent battery life. I wouldn't say stellar, but certainly for a gaming laptop, this is certainly capable in that area. Now, really great news when it comes to the speakers here. There are quad speakers. It's got Dolby Atmos here to help with the spatial audio. I thought the overall sound was rich, full, filled up the room rather nicely. I was shocked on how good the sound is, even competing on the level of a MacBook Pro. That's how good these speakers are, although I think the MacBook Pro is slightly better, the MacBook Pro 14 that I have here. I also compared it to the HP Omen Transcend 14, and I think the sound on this one was so much better. Now, let's give them a listen. Now, thankfully, the animatrix lid, or whatever they called it last year, is gone, replaced by a more refined slash. Although I can still do without it, or you could turn it off. And that's controlled in the Armory Crate app, so you have a lot of controls at your fingertips. All right, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 here for 2024? I love the redesign. It's sleek, it's modern, it's understated. I don't mind using this in a meeting. I don't mind taking it to a cafe. It's not going to stand out. It's not going to be over the top. I like that. All aluminum build is rock solid. I like the 120 hertz OLED display that supports G-Sync. Best in class gaming laptop speakers without question. Excellent keyboard and touchpad. Great implementation. Very good performance. And it also has a mux switch. So if you need to switch to graphics, it's easily done on the fly. Negatives here, the RAM is soldered in, but that's pretty much par for the course here for 2024. Limited maximum HDR brightness, although I did measure pretty good SDR brightness here, but I didn't get above a really good high HDR brightness that I'd like to see. No Wi-Fi 7 here, of course, although you can replace it later on. It is slotted in, so that's good. Expensive, of course, $15.99 out the gate here, but hopefully they'll be running some sales. You'll be able to get it on discount, because this is a pretty radical redesign in the sense that they went with a more premium look, and for the most part they pretty much succeeded here. Good performance on the CPU GPU side and excellent design here. I think the overall aesthetics is very pleasing. So my overall takeaway is the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 here for 2024 is a laptop that I'd like to take with me everywhere, whether it be a boardroom meeting, whether it be in a cafe, whether it be in use in my house or home office. This can pretty much do it all.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.